Luxury cars are full of features that promise comfort, convenience, and cutting-edge technology, but many of these features are also the ones that fail the most and cost the most to fix. Today, we're breaking down the major luxury car features that commonly fail, how they fail, and why they become such a headache for owners. Let's start with air suspension, one of the most famous and most problematic luxury features. Air suspension replaces traditional metal springs with air-filled bags and a compressor system that constantly adjusts ride height and softness. When it works, the ride feels incredibly smooth and controlled. The problem is that air suspension systems have many failure points. The rubber airbags dry out and crack over time, airlines start leaking, and the compressor ends up working harder and harder until it fails as well. Nuts. When this happens, the car may start sagging on one side, sit too low after being parked, or feel harsh and bouncy while driving. In many cases, the car will keep lowering itself overnight because it can no longer hold air pressure. Once the compressor is damaged, the repair becomes even more expensive. Air suspension almost always feels amazing when new, but as the car ages, it becomes one of the most common and costly luxury failures. Another extremely common problem feature is the panoramic sunroof. Modern luxury cars use huge glass panels combined with drainage channels and sealing systems to keep water out. The problem is that these drainage channels clog easily with dust, leaves, and debris, and the seals slowly harden and shrink with age. When this happens, water doesn't always drip directly from the roof. Instead, it often runs inside the pillars and soaks the headliner, carpets, and electronics underneath. Owners usually notice foggy windows, wet floor mats, or a musty smell before they realize what's happening. Once water reaches control modules under the seats or behind interior panels, electrical problems can start appearing that seem completely unrelated to the roof. A sunroof leak often starts as a small annoyance and slowly turns into a large and expensive electrical nightmare. Keyless entry and push button start systems are another luxury feature that causes serious problems, but not in the way most people expect. These systems allow the car to unlock and start when the key is nearby, without ever touching it. From a convenience point of view, this works great. From a security point of view, it introduces new risks. And the system depends entirely on wireless signals, and those signals can be intercepted, relayed, or confused. In many cases, the feature itself does not break, but the system can fail in the sense that it can be exploited or become unreliable. Some cars develop issues where they fail to recognize the key, refuse to start, or constantly show key not detected warnings. Others become vulnerable to theft techniques that take advantage of how the system works. Either way, what was designed to remove inconvenience ends up creating reliability and security concerns that traditional keys never had. Soft closed doors are another classic luxury feature that sounds simple but fails in complicated ways. These systems use small electric motors and sensors to gently pull the door shut if it is left slightly open. Over time, these motors wear out, the sensors become inconsistent, or the latching mechanism starts to stick. When that happens, the door may stop pulling itself closed, may only work sometimes, or may make grinding noises before giving up completely. While this does not stop the car from driving, it turns a premium feature into a constant irritation. The door feels heavy, doesn't close properly on the first try, and reminds the owner every day that something expensive is no longer working as intended. Infotainment systems are now the central control hub of modern luxury cars, and that makes their failures especially noticeable. These screens control navigation, audio, climate, cameras, and vehicle settings. When the system works, everything feels seamless. When it fails, the entire car feels broken. Common problems include frozen screens, black displays, random reboots, laggy performance, and complete system crashes. Sometimes the issue is software related, sometimes it's hardware, and sometimes it's both. Because so many car functions are tied to the screen, even a small glitch can remove access to basic settings. A car can be mechanically perfect and still feel unusable because the screen refuses to cooperate. Active grille shutters are a smaller and less obvious feature, but they cause surprisingly large problems. These are motorized flaps in the front grille that open and close to control airflow for cooling and aerodynamics. In theory, they improve efficiency and help the engine warm up faster. In practice, the mechanism can get stuck open or closed. The motor can fail, or the system can start sending incorrect signals to the car's computer. When that happens, the car may show warning lights, disable certain functions, or trigger check engine messages. What makes this especially frustrating is that such a small plastic and motorized part can cause dashboard warnings that look like serious engine problems. Another luxury feature that fails more often than people expect is power running boards, especially on large luxury SUVs. These motorized steps automatically extend when you open the door and retract when you close it. Over time, dirt, water, and road salt work their way into the hinges, motors, and wiring. The result is a step that gets stuck, only works on one side, or moves in slow and uneven ways. Sometimes the motor fails, sometimes the control module does, and sometimes the mechanism simply seizes up. While this doesn't stop the car from driving, it turns a convenience feature into a constant reminder of how exposed moving parts suffer in real-world conditions. All of these features have one thing in common: they exist to make the car feel more premium, more comfortable, and more advanced. But every extra motor, sensor, pump, and computer is another possible failure point. In luxury cars, complexity itself becomes the enemy of long-term reliability. Another major luxury feature that causes long-term problems is adaptive or electronically controlled seats. These seats use multiple motors, memory modules, position sensors, heating elements, ventilation fans, and sometimes even massage systems. Over time, any one of these components can fail. Common problems include seats that no longer move in certain directions, memory settings that stop working, heating or cooling that fails, steering or massage functions that simply stop responding. Because all of these systems are integrated into a single seat module, diagnosing the exact cause is often time-consuming and expensive. In many cases, the seat still looks perfect, but loses some or all of its functions, turning one of the most expensive interior components into a partially broken piece of furniture. Electronic door handles, especially the flush or pop-out designs used on many modern luxury cars, are another feature that trades mechanical simplicity for complexity. These handles rely on motors, gears, and sensors to extend or retract. Dirt, ice, water, and simple wear eventually interfere with their operation. When they fail, the handle may not present itself, may move slowly, or may stop working entirely. And this can lead to situations where the door cannot be opened from the outside without using an emergency method. A feature designed to look clean and futuristic becomes a daily usability problem when it stops behaving reliably. Advanced driver assistance systems are also a common source of frustration in luxury vehicles. These include adaptive cruise control, lane keeping systems, blind spot monitoring, and automatic emergency braking. All of these systems depend on cameras, radar sensors, and control modules that must remain precisely calibrated. A small impact, a dirty sensor, or a software issue can cause warnings, malfunctions, or complete system shutdowns. When these systems stop working, the car often displays multiple alerts and disables several features at once. The car still drives, but the owner is left with a dashboard full of warnings and a repair process that often involves expensive recalibration procedures rather than simple part replacement. Electronic parking brakes are another example of a feature that replaces a simple mechanical system with a complex one. Instead of a cable and a lever, these systems use motors and control modules to apply and release the brakes. While they save space and look more modern, they can fail in ways that traditional systems cannot. Motors can seize, modules can malfunction, and the system can refuse to release or engage properly. When this happens, even simple brake service becomes more complicated because special procedures or tools are often required just to put the system into service mode. Meet four-wheel steering systems are used in some luxury cars to improve low-speed maneuverability and high-speed stability. These systems use actuators and control units to turn the rear wheel slightly. Over time, these actuators and sensors can develop faults. When that happens, the car may show steering warnings, disable the system, or behave inconsistently. Because steering is a safety-critical system, even minor faults often trigger major warnings and require immediate attention, turning what is supposed to be an invisible assistance feature into a significant maintenance concern. Electronic dampers and active suspension systems that adjust stiffness in real time also add another layer of complexity beyond basic air suspension. These systems rely on sensors, control modules, and electronically controlled valves. When any of these parts fail, the suspension may become stuck in one mode, ride poorly, or display fault messages. While the car may still be drivable, it loses the very feature that justified the complexity in the first place. Automatic climate control systems in luxury cars are far more complex than basic heating and air conditioning. They often use multiple temperature sensors, blend door motors, air quality sensors, and multi-zone control modules. When something goes wrong, the system may blow hot air on one side and cold on the other, refuse to change temperature, or make clicking noises from behind the dashboard as motors struggle to move stuck components. Fixing these problems usually involves removing large sections of the dashboard, turning what should be a simple comfort issue into a labor-intensive repair. Night vision systems, head-up displays, and other advanced display technologies also suffer from the same problem of complexity. They rely on cameras, projectors, special windshields, and control units. When they fail, the feature often disappears entirely or shows distorted images. Because these systems are unique and low volume, replacement parts and calibration can be very expensive relative to how often the feature is actually used. The pattern across all of these features is always the same. Luxury cars add more motors, more sensors, more computers, and more software to improve comfort and convenience. Every added layer increases the number of things that can go wrong. When these systems are new, they feel impressive and effortless. As the car ages, the same systems become the main source of warning lights, malfunctions, and expensive repair bills. None of this means luxury cars are bad. It simply means that luxury is built on complexity, and complexity does not age as gracefully as simple mechanical systems. The more a car tries to think for you, move for you, and adapt for you, the more chances it has to stop doing those things correctly. In the end, the most advanced features are often the first ones to remind owners that in the world of cars, sophistication always comes with a cost.